In the secluded countryside of England, Ravenswood Manor stood as a decaying monument to a forgotten era. Once a grand estate, it had long been abandoned, its halls filled only with the echoes of the past. The locals avoided it, whispering of dark secrets and cursed souls that lingered within its walls. But for Elizabeth, an ambitious journalist with a thirst for the truth, Ravenswood was the perfect subject for her next story. Elizabeth had received an anonymous letter inviting her to spend a week at the manor. The letter claimed that the truth behind the strange occurrences that had plagued the estate for centuries would finally be revealed. Intrigued by the prospect of uncovering a hidden mystery, Elizabeth packed her bags and set off for the manor, unaware of the horrors that awaited her. As Elizabeth approached Ravenswood, she was struck by its ominous presence. The manor loomed against the darkening sky, its once majestic facade now crumbling and overgrown with ivy. The air around it seemed unnaturally cold, and a sense of unease settled over her. Upon entering the manor, Elizabeth was greeted by an eerie silence. Dust-covered furniture filled the rooms, and the walls were lined with portraits of long-dead ancestors, their eyes seeming to follow her every move. She began her research, delving into the manor's history, only to uncover tales of madness, murder, and mysterious disappearances. In the late 1800s, Ravenswood had been home to the Blackwood family, who were known for their eccentricity and cruelty. The last lord of the manor, Sir Arthur Blackwood, was said to have dabbled in the occult. He held seances and dark rituals in an attempt to contact the dead. His obsession grew until one fateful night, when a seance went horribly wrong and the manor was consumed by darkness. Sir Arthur, his wife, and their 3 children vanished without a trace, leaving behind only whispers of a curse that had fallen upon the house. As the days passed, strange things began to happen. Elizabeth would hear soft whispers echoing through the halls, though no one else was there. Objects would move on their own, and shadows would flicker at the edge of her vision. At night, she would be awakened by the sound of footsteps outside her door, but when she opened it, there was no one there. Despite her growing fear, Elizabeth pressed on, determined to uncover the truth. She discovered an old journal hidden in the library, belonging to Sir Arthur. The entries grew, increasingly frantic as he wrote of a dark presence he had summoned, something ancient and malevolent that now haunted the manor. He spoke of shadows that whispered in the night, driving him to madness and compelling him to commit unspeakable acts. One night, as Elizabeth read the final entry, the temperature in the room dropped suddenly, and the candles blew out. She was plunged into darkness, and the whispers grew louder, more insistent. Terrified, she fumbled for a flashlight, but when she turned it on, the beam of light revealed a figure standing in the doorway, a ghostly apparition of Sir Arthur, his eyes hollow and filled with despair. Chapter 4. The descent into madness. The sightings became more frequent, and Elizabeth's grip on reality began to slip. She was plagued by nightmares in which she relived the horrors of the Blackwood family, experiencing their final moments as they were hunted by the shadowy entity. She could feel the presence of something evil, lurking just out of sight, watching her every move. Desperate for answers, Elizabeth explored the hidden passages of the manor, discovering rooms that had been sealed off for decades. In one of them, she found a large, ornate mirror covered with a dusty sheet. As she uncovered it, she saw not her own reflection, but a twisted version of herself, with blackened eyes and a malevolent grin. The reflection whispered to her, urging her to join the others in the darkness, to become one with the shadows. Panicking, Elizabeth smashed the mirror, but the image remained, now reflected in every surface she passed. She could no longer tell what was real and what was a figment of her imagination. The manor seemed alive, its walls pulsating with an ancient evil that sought to consume her. Chapter 5. The final revelation. On the seventh night, Elizabeth reached her breaking point. She decided to flee the manor, but as she made her way to the front door, it slammed shut, trapping her inside. The whispers grew to a deafening roar, and the shadows closed in around her, forming the shape of a towering, faceless figure. It spoke in a voice that was both ancient and inhuman, revealing the truth she had sought. The entity that haunted Ravenswood was no mere ghost. It was a demon, bound to the Blackwood family through their dark rituals. Sir Arthur's attempts to control it had failed, and in his desperation, he had sacrificed his own family, hoping to appease the demon. But instead of freeing them, the ritual had trapped their souls within the manor, condemning them to an eternity of torment. The demon offered Elizabeth a choice: join the others as a servant of the darkness, or suffer the same fate as the Blackwoods. Knowing she had no other option, Elizabeth made a desperate decision. She took the journal and used it to perform the same ritual Sir Arthur had attempted, hoping to banish the demon once and for all. As she chanted the ancient words, the manor shook violently, and the shadows writhed in agony. The demon screamed in rage, but its hold on the manor weakened. With a final burst of energy, Elizabeth completed the ritual, and the entity was banished, its presence fading into nothingness. Chapter 6. The aftermath. The morning light broke through the windows as Elizabeth stood in the now silent manor. The shadows were gone, and the air felt lighter, as if the curse had finally been lifted. But as she prepared to leave, she noticed something unsettling. The portraits on the walls had changed. The faces of the Blackwood family were no longer there. In their place was her own face, twisted in the same malevolent grin she had seen in the mirror. Elizabeth realized too late that while she had banished the demon, she had become a part of the manor's curse. She was now bound to Ravenswood, her soul trapped within its walls, destined to haunt the estate for eternity. The whispers had ceased, but in the silence, she could feel the darkness lurking, waiting for the next unsuspecting soul to stumble upon the cursed manor.